Hey, it's Rachel D'Alto, Match's chief dating expert, here with episode number 3 of Adults Only Be a Better Dater in 2022. And today we're going to talk about communication. Communication 101. We might actually do a little 201 too, but we want to get that spark lit and we want to keep it going. And we can't talk about that without talking about the starter message. I can't tell you how many times people get so caught up in, what do I say? What do I say for that first message? And the fact is that you don't have to overthink it too much. Now listen, if we say something just like, hi, you might not get a reply. Hi works if you're at Starbucks and you walk up to someone, you can say hello, although that could be kind of awkward too. Typically, when you start a conversation in real life, you're going to say hello and then you're going to ask something or comment on something. And it's the same thing when you are messaging someone for the first time on Match. That means that you actually have to pay attention to their profile and pull something out that you are curious about. Curiosity is an amazing element of communication, and it's actually a hack that we'll talk about in a little bit. But there has to be something that's of interest to you, whether it's a photo that you can ask about, I don't know, their pet or somewhere that they look to have been, or something that they reference in their profile, somewhere that they went to school or a profession that they have, or just a comment. All you need is to say, hey, my name is fill in the blank, and then ask the question or comment on what you saw in their profile that you find to be interesting. It is short and sweet and doesn't make them feel like they're being bombarded. Because a lot of times, and I know that you have probably had these moments too, where you get a message and it looks like they wrote a book and it's a bit overwhelming. This person doesn't know you and yet they're seeking so much from you. Dating in the beginning is an energy dance and you don't want to invest too much energy until you're getting the energy back out. So we're going to give that a minute until you start having a conversation, which is what we want to talk about next. I've always likened the beginning stages of dating conversations to be a bit like playing poker. You don't want to always be raising. So if they send you a message, send them one back. If you send them a message, allow them to send you one back before you send another. And know when to end the conversation. The problem with our phones, which are honestly not phones, they're little tiny computers that we bring around with us everywhere, we expect that people are constantly available. And even if we're messaging through an app, we think, oh, they're getting a notification, they should reply. I should stay in constant contact. And the problem is that doesn't allow that little simmer of a fire to actually burn into something that's worthwhile. So we want to make sure that we are kind of sprinkling and dancing. I know that's a lot of references at once, but sprinkling that conversation in and dancing in a way that doesn't make people feel like it's too much too soon, because that's a huge red flag. So match their messaging. Match how long they are responding with. If they're responding with 1 or 2 sentences, you respond with 1 or 2 sentences. If they're down to write a book to you and reply, then you can write a little bit more, but I still suggest that we allow that communication to feel very light in the beginning. When you feel like a conversation has reached a natural end, it's okay to just let it sit there for a minute. Or you could say something like, I'd love to continue this later. Can I get your number? If you're on a text stream already, then ending things with a thumbs up or just liking it is a great way to say, okay, I think we've reached the natural end of this. Because the last thing you want to do is force a continued conversation. It's so much better to walk away from the conversation for 24 hours and then come back and say, hey, how are you doing? I'd really love to grab drinks, grab coffee, grab dinner, whatever it looks like for you, based on the conversation that you're having. There's actually a really cool element in the Match app where we will actually send you a little nudge in your conversations when we feel like it's gone stale so that you can archive it. You can actually kind of move it out of your inbox so you're focusing on the relationships that are fresh and ongoing and moving forward into something more significant. Something also to consider when we are having these conversations. Obviously, like I just said before, light and fluffy in the beginning is awesome, and you want to keep things really positive. I know I talked about positivity in the last episode, but it's such an important element of dating and in those initial stages to show all of your positive thinking so that people want to continue to spend time with you. But you also want to be real. And that's something that we have seen such a huge shift in the last year. We do Singles in America study every year, and really having these deep conversations and being vulnerable with each other is showing up as something that is so attractive and so necessary to build real relationships. So, as that element of intimacy rises in these budding relationships, don't be afraid to be who you are and to share parts of yourself so that people can actually get to know you. Because something I always say is if no one actually knows you, how can they actually fall in love with you? So don't be afraid to get vulnerable, be authentic, and put yourself out there because the rewards are so worth it. I hope that helped to shed some light on communicating, especially in those initial stages. I know it can feel daunting, but the less that you overthink it and the more that you engage in a way that just feels like you're flowing with them, the better off those conversations will be. That is it for us today. Tune in to the next episode where we're going to talk about how to stay motivated. Sometimes dating can get frustrating. I know, I hear about it all the time, but we're going to talk about how we can move past that and continue to be motivated and excited and ready for love. This is Rachel D'Alto. Thanks for tuning in.